Monday, August 15th. Please join me in rising. Remove your ball cap and salute the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce the members of the commission seated here tonight. To my immediate left is Tris Mace, our regular member, and to her left is Barry Ponder, regular member, and to my far right is Jenny Crane, our recording secretary, and administrative table is David Perkins, our town planner. Finally, my name is Robert Nowak. I'm the chairman for the commission seated here tonight. First order of business we have on the agenda tonight is to review and consider the approval of minutes for June 20th and July 11th, 2024. Right now we have members seated here today to consider the approval for June 20th. We do not have enough members for the July 11th. I have a copy of the minutes if you'd like to see it.
I have a few.
We're not ready for that yet. Here.
Not yet.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from June 20th, 2024.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Excuse me,
Aye.
Yes.
our neighbor here would like to amend the minutes before they're approved. He'd like to stand before the committee and call your attention an error that was reported in the minutes before they go formally on file.
And Dave, the call on that is? I don't know.
I think that you could entertain whatever they want to tell you.
Never had that happen before. Well, entertain it. Before we vote on it, come on up and state your name and address for the record and note your correction to the minutes, please.
Yes, my name is Pat Zakicki. I live on 190 Parsonage Hill Road. And I would like to set the record straight that at the last meeting, which I was unable to attend, I did not say the swale in my backyard did not get larger since the building of the existing 4 houses. It has in fact gotten larger since the building of the 4 houses.
What, could you be specific as to what page and paragraph you're
And
referring
is
to?
that date June 20th?
We're on the June 20th meeting.
Yes, June 20th meeting.
So what page and paragraph of the minutes are you referring
I
to?
have no idea. It was in a draft that was online.
So Pat, do you mind if I,
It's on page 2.
page 2? Pat Zakicki, 190 Parsonage Hill, concerned about traffic, water management and wells. His property abuts lot 12 of this development, and the swale that was there in 1986 has not increased in size.
Right.
Photos show the commission of the swale, a berm was proposed to put in place, but never was.
Okay, so that is totally wrong.
Okay.
So, as I stated in the first meeting, that the swale, as I explained in my absentee letter, the last the meeting, the original swale was 3 feet wide by 2 feet deep. And now it is in excess of 5 feet wide and over 6 foot in depth in some spots. It has definitely increased since the development of the property known as 118 Parsonage Hill. I also submitted pictures showing this at the first meeting. I would like to submit a video of the swale in action.
Well, we're dealing with correcting the minutes.
Okay, I'm
at the
sorry.
moment. Okay, so
So what
the
I'm,
minutes say the swale that was there in 1986 has not increased in size. And what you would like to propose is that it has increased in size.
it has
So
tremendously.
you'd like to eliminate the word not.
Fair enough with me.
Okay,
Is that adequate, Beth?
yeah. I mean, I thought I explained this at the first meeting, and I gave you pictures depicting that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, sometimes there's mistakes made. It's all on tape, so maybe there was some confusion. So, but that's okay,
Okay,
all right?
all right, so I'll
So
sit
just
down
eliminate
and
it.
we can get started? Or,
If you're all set making your corrections, unless you have any other corrections you'd like to make? Pat?
no,
Okay, thank you, sir.
thank you.
So I entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended, with eliminating the word not from Pat's testimony.
So moved.
Okay, second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second to approve the minutes as amended. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the June 20th minutes are approved as amended. July 11th, as I stated, there is not enough people here to approve or consider the review of the minutes, so I'll move on to the next item on the agenda is public hearing and for possible action for application 2024-10-118 Personnel Chill. Before I do that, there is 4 public hearings tonight. So I'd like to read a statement about how a public hearing is going to be conducted. Purpose of this meeting is to hear all pertinent testimony of those in support of and opposition to the application before the commission. The public hearing will be open. Testimony will be heard in the following order. After I'm going to explain the proposal project, staff and commission have questions and comments on the proposal. The general public will have an opportunity to speak in support of and opposition to the request. When addressing the commission, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. All comments should be addressed to the commission, not to the audience, not the application. All comments addressed to us. Relevant, and the questions are relevant to the application and shall not be any of personal nature. Being that there's a large crowd today, we're going to limit the amount of comments to 3 minutes, and everyone has an opportunity to come up and speak once. You come up and speak after. Everyone else has an opportunity to speak again. So we'll go in order of one person, and then once that everyone speaks, if one who wants to speak again can come up after everyone had a comment to make. When all sides have spoken, the public hearing will be closed and no further public discussion will be entertained. After the public hearing is closed, the commission will vote on the request. Once your public hearing, regardless of which one you hear, is concluded, out of respect for the commission and the commission's presiding here tonight and everyone else, we kindly ask that you take your discussions outside in the parking lot after the conclusion of your public hearing so that we can maintain order in commission and we proceed with the next one, because there's a couple we need to get to and there's a lot of people here, so we don't want to delay someone else's public hearing. With that being said, I'll conclude my comments for the public hearing. I'm going to turn it over to Jim from Mr. Preddy from 118 Personnel to fill us in on where we're at and how you progressed.
Sure. Jim Preddy, Criscolo Engineering, 420 East Main Street, Branford. This is 3rd or 4th meeting, I think we've been here for this. So we had at the last meeting, we had Peter Shea from SLR, who's a licensed environmental professional, expert in hydrogeology, present testimony and a report regarding any potential impact on adjoining wells, which he concluded there is none associated with our activity. That report was submitted that night, and my understanding is that you folks needed some time to digest the material, and that was one of the reasons we extended it. The other question had come up from staff between the last meeting and now, other questions. There was a clarification in the drainage report, which I sent to Victor, which he was satisfied with. He asked us to look at the sightline profiles coming out of the new road, and we meet the 25-mile-an-hour sight distances for passenger vehicles as recommended by the DOT for intersections at grade with stop control on a minor road. We also looked at the previous traffic report, used information from the 7th edition of the ITE manual, which had a trip per unit for single-family home at 1.01. And that was the 7th edition that was available in 2006. They are now up to the 11th edition, and that number is actually down to 0.97 trips per unit. And just for curiosity's sake, I found also the same chart from the 9th edition, which was in between, and they're at 1.0, so there was clearly a trend down in the number of trips per unit for a single-family home. So I think that the information that's in that traffic study from 2006 still applies. If anything, it may be a little bit inflated because of the numbers, but it's so small, it's probably insignificant. I think that was all that we've added since the last meeting. Really, I guess, we were looking to answer any questions that the commission may still have regarding the information that was submitted.
So I noticed on your, excuse me, you guys have any questions for the developer before I jump in?
Not yet.
I noticed in the plan that you dropped off to us, the initial meeting was I studied it pretty extensively. You did some serious test pits throughout each and every property where you identified ledge rock at being a certain elevation throughout the property. I'm assuming you are going to navigate through the elevation of rock to install your houses where they should be without having too much impact to the rock excavation, I assume.
That's correct. I mean, ideally there'd be no rock removal if we could work it out, depending on the house design, really. But as a developer, he'd like to not have to remove any. So that's where we'll be as we develop these lots. That's what we'll be looking to do first. But yeah, there was. I don't even know total how many test pits that were done in the 2006 time when that first came through here, and then we had done I don't know, a dozen or so more verifying what they had found, and they're pretty scattered all over the site, so we have a pretty good sense for what the soils look like throughout the site.
Right. Okay. Are you still beholden to not blasting or just hole ramming out the rock if you were to have impacts like that?
I mean, there's no way to know for sure until we get into each lot, but that's the plan, yes.
Okay. Are you planning on reprocessing any of it for road base or anything like that?
Would you crush any? Is it okay for me to speak?
Sure. Would you come up and state your name and address for the record, please?
Any of the removed rock?
Good evening, Joe Charliglio, in North Haven, Connecticut, owner of Luancy Construction. As far as the rock, we don't anticipate a lot of rock coming out. There is a amount of outcropping of some hard pan material, and it's only mainly towards the end of the road. As Jim stated, and as you stated, we've done numerous test pits throughout the property, and we have found some ledge at a certain point, but it's all fragmenting ledge that is removable, As far as blasting, I have done 4 other homes there where no blasting was of any issue or needed. We will have to deal with that slight amount of outcropping, and obviously the first thing that we are going to attempt is through hole ramming or ripping with ripper teeth. As far as blasting, I can't anticipate, but it's too early for us to say. And if so, there are regulations that we have to follow, protocol, pre-tests, and and regulations that we have to follow. So at this point here, I don't foresee blasting as being an issue on the site.
Okay. There's a lot of ramifications if you do blast. You understand that, right?
We do, and there's regulations set for us that we have to follow. So prior to any blasting, I mean, there's permitting, there's pre-blast inspections, post-blast inspections. And as Jim stated in one of the last meetings, I mean, blasting has come quite a long way. It's not like years ago you push a rod down and you see rock exploding everywhere. The way charges are done today, they are done in a totally different way, where literally when you're blasting, you feel a very minimal impact below the soil conditions.
Correct. That's right.
So.
But there's other environmental issues that some of the residents are concerned about with as a result of the blasting. So that's why I'm asking that specific question. So the specific question about crushing also impacts the release of certain hazards that some residents are concerned about if you were to process the material on site.
Understood. However, I did have a conversation with the town engineer, and it was a question about materials that we would bring in for the road base and all. And we confirmed that we would be bringing in materials, and any materials that I would be bringing in would be documented and monitored by him as well.
Okay. Very good.
Okay.
That's all I have right now. Anybody else? Any questions, comments? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So before this is a continuation of the public hearing we started in June 20th. So we received a letter. I'd like my secretary to read into the record a letter that the commission received.
We received a letter on August 14, 2024, written by Dana Baselli, 238 Parsonage Hill Road, Northford, Connecticut. And she wrote the letter to our chairman, Robert Nowak, and this was dated August 12, 2024. It's regarding housing development, 118 Parsonage Hill Road, Northford, Connecticut. To whom it may concern, understand that there will be an assembly on Thursday, August 15th, discussing the housing development on 118 Parsonage Hill Road, Northford, Connecticut. My family and I will be away during that time frame, and I would like this letter to be read during that meeting in my absence. I am writing to express my strong opposition to the proposed housing development in our neighborhood on 118 Parsonage Hill Road, Northford, Connecticut. I believe this project would have a detrimental impact on our street, causing potential hydrogeological impacts, increase of traffic impacting the safety of residents, and a disruption to current residents of Parsonage Hill Road. First and foremost, the proposed development is simply too large for our tiny, curvy road. As it is, when school buses, delivery trucks, garbage trucks, and other maintenance vehicles travel the road, it makes it nearly impossible to move around the vehicle at times. During the recent tree work maintenance on the road, I was unable to pass by the vehicles due to the trucks protruding into the road, safety cones, and workers around the vehicle. With the proposed new development, that would be an additional 15 to 20 cars driving up and down the already narrow roads, creating more of a buildup. The increase in population density would put a strain on our already overburdened infrastructure, leading to increased traffic congestion, noise pollution, and could increase accidents on the road. The windy curve of the road leading to Tucket Road is so dangerous as is, and often times impossible for two large vehicles to pass by each other. Adding additional traffic is a disaster waiting to happen. Additionally, the construction of this project would result in significant environmental damage, possible negative impacts to the quality and quantity of water in neighboring drinking water wells, as well as other environmental factors such as erosion, sedimentation, and decreased surface water quality conditions. I have 3 young children. The potential dangers the blasting can have affect the water my children drink, affecting their health. Furthermore, the type of housing being proposed is simply too much for this small road. I believe that this project is simply not the right fit for our neighborhood. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Sincerely, Dana Baselli.
Thanks, Mary.
No problem.
So there was Mr. McLaughlin and, I think it's McLaughlin. No, Coughlin.
Chairman Nowak.
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to comment on a couple of things.
Absolutely.
I think the dust issue has come up before, and they mentioned erosion control. You know, there's a whole set of requirements for that Dave and Victor would have to review and kind of keep track of, and we got to design to those standards. So that's handled. You know, if it's a particularly dry year, they have to have a truck for watering and keep dust down and that sort of thing. And that's standard protocol for any project, really. The other thing is, you know, it's come up a couple times, even in a letter it says, you know, additional 15 cars, but then it goes on to say that buses and trucks and delivery vans are the problem. So if we're adding 15 cars, the cars aren't the problem. The bigger vehicles are the problem. So I don't know how adding a few houses affects the already existing problem of buses and the trucks. Dave, did you have the police department take a look at the road at all up there?
The police department started doing a traffic study this morning. Yesterday, I'm not sure if they have any data yet.
I see.
They were gonna move the traffic counting facilities closer to 118 Parsonage Hill Road. If we need to, we can keep the public hearing open and we can get that data. I was trying to get it by today, but the Poco Festival got in the way and all sorts of other things got ahead of me. We do have, as a matter of record that I submitted, was the accident reports from the police department from 2010 till recently, of which there were 7 accidents, most of them on the hillsides, closer to Village Street and to Toket Road. So I did submit that today.
So according to the record, just for everyone's information, Parsonage Hill Road accidents, there's been 8 total accidents in 14 years. 7 reports since 2010, 1 unfounded accident. Motor vehicle stops, 24 total stops in 14 years. 14 traveling on reasonable fast speed. 1 unregistered motor vehicle. 1 motorist on their cell phone. 1 improper use of high beams. 1 failure to comply with traffic control signal. 6 undocumented type of enforcement. So 24 in 14 years for accidents, along with the police reports that go along with them. You're working on the traffic counts, right? For part of our conversation today was that we have information currently for Village Street.
We have traffic counts for Village Street that were referenced in the 2006 traffic report, about 2,300, which is close to Parsonage Hill. Typically what we've seen since then is a decrease in traffic volumes during the pandemic, and then an increase after the pandemic, but nothing close to what was happening back in 2010. So this one shows that the 2016 count was 2,500 vehicles per day. 2020 was 2,100 vehicles per day, and 2022 was 2,300. So it decreased and then it came back up. I would expect that the Parsonage Hill Road traffic would be similar.
Dave, do you recall the approximate location where the traffic was monitored? At the traffic light of 17 at Village, or?
It's at Village Street, 3/4 of a mile northwest of Idlewood. So it's pretty close to the Village Street intersection. And a companion one that had pretty much the same information was Village Street, 1.5 mile north of Surrey Drive.
So two sections of Village Street between 22, 17, 17 and Alder Road,
Correct.
basically. So I wanted to touch base on the historical nature of the property. If I understand it, Dave, you correct me if I'm wrong, when we discussed the 2006 approval, actually came in front of the commission in 2006. This original property came in front of the commission and it was denied. Subsequent to that, in June, I believe the developer sued the town for falsely denying him the ability to develop his property. In October of 2006, October of the same year, the property was approved.
Correct.
So it was denied in sometime in June and then approved in 2006 for 14 lots.
Correct.
Okay. No public hearing.
There was a public hearing in 2006.
2006. So then it was approved for 14 lots. That lot approval or subdivision expired in 2019. And in March of 2020, 4-lot subdivision was approved during the pandemic.
Well, no, let's back up.
Yes, sir.
The 2006 14-lot approval, the Mylars were never filed. It was never actually on the land records. It was not, the application process was not completed.
Okay.
So they went away for 13 years. And they came back prior to the start of the pandemic in September of 2019 and applied for a 4-lot subdivision, which was approved.
Gotcha. Okay.
They never filed those Mylars. That there was a mix-up somehow. So they came back in March of 2020, which was still just before the country shut down, and they were approved March 5th, 2020 for the current subdivision.
Okay.
That's the timeline.
Thank you. Then it was only for 4 lots at the time?
Correct.
Okay. Gotcha. That was just to clear up some confusion on what happened to date. That was, again, another concern of the community, so we wanted to put that to bed. The other issue that's not really part of our commission, our preview, is I believe it was called the not legal road, addressing the width, the geometry, capacity, volume of Parsonage Hill itself, and the perception of allowable ADT, average daily travel, on that particular road. It's a local road. Davey, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's anywhere from 75 to 500 cars per day can travel on that road as it stands right now. Mr. Coughlin went through and did an elaborate, in 2006, if I pronounce your name correctly, did a beautiful picture of the road and schematic for all the widths of the road and the like, and I wanted to address that as a concern for the width of the road. Right, so in order to make it meet the town standard, it'll have to be expanded to 24 feet wide. You know, in some places it's 16, and at the greatest point, I think it looks like it's 19 feet wide. So I don't think that the community wants the road to be improved to meet the current state or local requirements. Because all the geometry would change and all the bumps and everything else would be widened to 24 feet. And then it would really make a cut-through road more efficient, more smoother than it currently exists right now. And in addition to that, that's not a concern for the Planning and Zoning Commission, but I wanted to make mention of that. As it was stated, unsafe and overburdened speed increases. The commission's looking at exactly the development of 14 houses on a piece of property that's owned by the developer. Yes, we're looking at the concern of traffic onto the road, but not so much the geometry of the road. That's more town council than us in the engineering department in my preview. The other concern with the community basically is the wells is one of our top issues. And from the correspondence we received, there's been a lot of issues relative to the wells. Who's responsible to quantify the concerns? Direct causation is the developer. Arsenic released into the groundwater. Assurance the developer will not impact quality and quantity of water. 2006, unable to assure that the quantity and the water will change. Dry years, lost water, had to re-drill new wells, public health code. It's some of the bullets I grabbed from some of the correspondence that was transmitted to the commission. And I appreciate significantly Ms. Capella for going through, doing her due diligence and providing this guidance document of everything that's occurred to date and providing us some information on what help us make our decision on moving forward with the property. So with that, I'd like to open the public hearing up again. Maybe we can do it with people who are in favor of, one spokesman, one person against. Since there's such a large volume of people here, you may all have the same thing to say. So what I'll do is I'll open up for those people, again, who are in support of the project. Name and address?
Hello. My name is Melina Proto. I live on 124 Parsonage Hill Road. So I'm one of the 4 homes that are in that subdivision that Joe has built. My husband and I are in support of the new development. I think it would be a wonderful opportunity to add a beautiful neighborhood to North Branford. Joe's work on Mikey's Way in North Haven is evident of this, if any of you have seen it. I attended the first meeting and could not make the second, but I did watch that meeting online. We listened to the concerns of all of our neighbors, which at this point, I believe a lot of those concerns have been addressed. Joe's intention to build has been known to us, so it's no surprise. The only thing that my husband and I are concerned about is we do ask that sidewalks be required, because as you already discussed, the narrowness of the street, especially not just Parsonage Hill, but also the new easement, I guess. Because that's so narrow and we already have, you know, the occasional car that comes by or even tons of dirt bikes, which I don't think that's gonna stop. So having young children, it would be nice to be able to have sidewalks in the neighborhood and to help keep kids safe, especially if they're gonna have to walk down or wherever the school bus might pick them up. So that's what I ask, it's just sidewalks. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else in support of the project? Anyone else would like to speak in favor of the project?
How you doing? Tom Preet. So Joe,
Tom, address?
I'm sorry, it's 1241 Middletown Avenue. So Joe is a developer of our neighborhood who we just finished. So I'd start off by saying, just from his work, he executed everything very professionally. It seems like he currently has all the right support roped into this, you know, like environmental engineers. And I would say as long as that coincides with the town's engineering, I don't see a problem with it. And that's just from what I've gathered from being in this meeting. So,
Okay. Anything else, Tom?
that's it.
Very good, thank you.
How you doing? Steve Dumark Jr., 1239 Middletown Ave, Northford, Connecticut. Joe also built my home next door to Brisbane Tom. You know, I think he's a strict, disciplined businessman. I think he holds the responsibility of building a home to code, a quality home, very highly. I think that, you know, he has a very good mind towards wetlands and keeping them preserved, and definitely was able to communicate that to us. I think, you know, towns like businesses, you know, have to preserve their core, but stimulate progress at the same time. I drive through some neighboring towns, and I see new developments, and I see those developments stacked on top of each other, the houses, right, on little lots. In my experience, that's not the home Joe builds. So I think it's a good opportunity to preserve the core of North Branford. I was born and raised there. I went to Jerome Harrison. I graduated from North Branford High School. My folks graduated from North Branford High School. My wife graduated from North Branford High School. And my kids are going to go to North Branford High School. My wife's a teacher at Jerome Harrison. My mom works for the special needs office, special services office as an admin. I'm North Branford my whole life, and I'm proud of the town. I think it's a beautiful town. I'm proud that my kids are going to be T-Birds. I'd be disheartened if Joe was building homes on top of each other. And I can't speak to well water. I can't speak to traffic. I don't know any of that science, but the community that he built for me, Tom, Kristen, I think it's beautiful. And it overlooks Auger Farm, or a portion of Auger Farm. I was watching them, you know, bale the hay the other day, and I was really appreciative that I had the chance to live in the town again. So that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Steve. Anyone else in support of the project?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm also Kristen Canning. I live at 1243 Middletown Avenue, neighbors with Steve and Tom, and I can't say enough great things about Joe and his work. During the whole entire process of building, he kept me and my husband informed of every single move before he made it, and I couldn't be happier. Steve and Tom made great points about the North Branford. I grew up in New Haven, so coming to North Branford, super excited with the town. Everybody is so welcoming, and I think it would be a great asset to the town to have these houses.
Welcome to North Branford.
Yeah, thank you. Kristen Canning? Yes, C-A-N-N-I-N-G. Thank you.
Anyone else in support of the project?
Good evening. My name's Barbara Altieri. I live at 31 Skylark Drive, and I have been a resident and grown up actually here in town, as well as raised my family, and now my family also, my children also live here in town. I am a realtor, and I have worked with Mr. Tarliglio for over 20 years now, selling properties for him. I can't say enough about his integrity and his honesty and his thoughtfulness about how he goes about putting houses up. This town has grown in the years that I've been here. This town has grown exponentially. I remember when the town was nothing more than a post office and a doctor's office and a grocery store in the center of Northford. And Route 80 was nothing but a couple little strip malls along the way. And we have tremendous growth. And the potential here for the growth in this town and the potential for the gain for the people who live here now is great. And this subdivision along with other ones that he has done, have helped the areas that they're in. We are going to grow. There will be growth in town. And I think if you're going to do that and you are faced with that, then you need to be thoughtful about what you're doing and have the right people in place. And this gentleman could be the right person for this property. Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara. Anyone else in support of? Anyone else in support of? Anyone else in support of the project? Okay, I'll turn my focus on opposition to the project. Another packet.
Another packet.
During the past, Martha Capella, 178 Parsonage Hill Road. During the past couple of months, I have appeared and expressed concerns for a proposed development at 118 Parsonage Hill Road alongside my neighbors. These concerns are not exclusively mine and are shared by the residents of Parsonage Hill Road, some of whom have appeared here before you, some of whom have submitted letters to read on their behalf, and some who do not have the comfort level in public speaking and or the vigor to fight another development almost 20 years later in their senior years. Those same residents came out in 2006 to fight this development and were successful at the time. The opinions and concerns expressed by those individuals remain today. There has been a vast array of topics discussed, comments made, and explanations offered. During the July 11th meeting, Mr. Nowak opened the meeting with comments made in a brief summary. In his comments, he mentioned the applicant's right to develop his land and to recover the money that was spent purchasing the property in question. No one here during the past and present meeting is questioning this right. However, I do feel the need to note for the commission that Mr. Charleglio's right to develop the land does not negate my right and the rights of the neighbors and the members of the community to express their concerns in him doing so. As the owner of an abutting property for two of the plots, I feel more than justified in standing before you once again this evening to expand upon my concerns. The suggestion was made by Mr. Nowak that the community could join together and purchase the property to maintain the green space. Taking into consideration the demographics of this town and the residents of Parsonage Hill, I doubt that to be a viable option for the preservation of the land. However, I respectfully suggest that the applicant does have the opportunity to work with organizations such as the North Branford Land Conservation Trust or the Trust for Public Land to determine potential ways to recover money spent on the property while preserving that otherwise shouldn't be developed. For the duration of time I have been living here, the land behind my home has been cultivated by a farmer and crops grown. Under PA 490, the town of North Branford offers a tax break for farmed land. Based on the tax amount assessed for this entire property, which I understand is a total of 40+ acres, I am assuming that the applicant has been receiving the tax break afforded by the Act in addition to collecting a lease amount for the partial usage of the land that is currently being used by a local farm. Mr. Nowak's opening comments further spoke about people wanting to remain and leave the town image in basically a stagnant state, but suggested that there is room to change. As demonstrated during these past two hearings, our concerns go way beyond maintaining a rural image. Per state statutes, each municipality must update every 10 years its comprehensive plan of conservation and development. It is my understanding that the Planning and Zoning Commission finalized their plan after a multi-year planning process and a series of public hearings. On October 3rd, 2019, the Commission adopted their POCD, which remains in effect until October 2029. Most interesting to me is that this POCD has a developed list of priorities for the future development of the town, a vision for that future, and a series of major strategies and recommendations to achieve that vision over the next 10 years. The plan was designed to be used as an important tool to help protect important resources, guide appropriate development, address community needs, protect community character, and enhance the quality of the life of its current and future residents. The plan remains in effect for a period of 10 years ending on October 18th, 2029. it is important to note that the main focus of Chapter 2 in the document is on the preserving and protecting the town's agricultural lands and rural character. While it was suggested by Mr. Nowak this was the residents of Parsons Hill issue, it appears as though the committee who created this plan had such a vision and implemented actionable items to accomplish this. Adding to my concern is the very broad reference to and other lot. With the application outlining this development, it is a 10-lot subdivision seeking to only develop 9 lots at present. I anticipate, as I think others do as well, that this is a reference to a Phase 3 planning, which will likely result in a cut-through starting at the remaining Lot 10 and coming out in North Haven vicinity, where it is my understanding Mr. Tarleglio owns other property. A couple of the neighbors who purchased homes in the 4-home development under what I will refer to as Phase 1 and who have appeared before the commission made mention of knowing that when they purchased their homes that additional houses would be built behind their properties. This begs the question as to how they knew that, who conveyed it, and why is there such a high confidence level on the part of the developer that an approval for all proposed development phases is imminent, so much so that a proverbial crystal ball is not even needed to predict the future. This should be clarified and not allowed to be so open-ended, allowing for some inherent future approval that has not been vetted through the proper process because other, seemingly, can include just about anything. When concerns were raised at the last hearing, including the submission of pictures of post-development materials being left behind and a pointed request by a commission member to address the concern of street sewers, I would have anticipated a good faith effort to oblige said request. In speaking with the neighbors, I have received feedback of no such activity. Similar to what I often tell my kids, actions speak louder than words, and in this case, volumes. Is this a demonstration of the best practices we would be seeing if approval is granted? Open space requirements. Per the subdivision regulations, there is an open space requirement. As noted in previous meeting minutes, when the first 4 homes were built, a monetary payment was accepted in lieu of land being deeded to the town. In this case, we have heard about land being transferred to the town. It has come to my attention that the proposed land to be transferred represents the only portion of wetlands on the development in question. This seemingly allows for this to be considered as having no wetlands and therefore outside the purview of regulatory agencies such as the DEP, etc. The drawing cited as one of 6 on the survey map on record for the town mentions under note number 8 that a wetlands investigation was not conducted at the time of the survey. I question the prudency of the town accepting this as open space, regardless of the fact that it borders property already owned by the town of North Branford, due to the potential for environmental concerns caused by this development. Excuse me one second. A little dry here. In reviewing the minutes from the last meeting, I noted that James Preddy of Criscola Engineering, who is quoted as indicating that the street where the development was started and proposed to be continued on was made up in compliance with town standards. After looking at the North Branford regulations pertaining to roads, I feel the need to ask what standard is that? Is the standard he is referring to a shared driveway standard? Is it a rural road standard? While the street/shared driveway may in fact measure the width of 24 feet, there has been no room left for the sidewalks, which would require, as I understand it, an additional 5 to 10 feet. It is a concern for me that potential fire hazards exist and will be increased with the development of wooded areas and my house abutting 2 of the proposed lots, and essentially no way for emergency vehicles to properly respond, turn around as needed, and address issues that could essentially destroy homes and endanger lives. How will the fire truck make a required turn going up onto existing properties that have septic systems is certainly not an option. The damage that could be done to leaching fields would be significant. During a recent hearing, the committee requested the addition of sidewalks to the plan that I understand does not currently contain them. The neighbor who spoke for the project just mentioned again that she'd like to see the sidewalks in there. Pedestrian safety is a major issue and a public concern. Per the Connecticut Department of Transportation, there is a 53% increase of pedestrian fatalities since 2009. I note on the proposed subdivision map that was submitted to the town a note referencing a planning and zoning waiver request for sidewalks and bus stops. Why would such a waiver be requested? Is it a cost-saving measure or a lack of adequate space issue? Regardless, the waiving of a sidewalk and bus stop requirements in a subdivision that will be seeking to sell to families with young children is not in the public's best interest and therefore should not be an option. In addition, why would the town vote to remove a safety measure in any capacity given current pedestrian injury trends? The costs associated with sidewalks fall on the developer, not the town. Public safety is a major consideration. Please see attachment A outlining additional data pertaining to pedestrian safety produced by the Connecticut DOT as part of their comprehensive pedestrian safety strategy produced in January 2021. Well completion reports. Preparing for these hearings has been an educational opportunity, to say the least. I have learned more than I ever knew about wells, septic systems, road standards, etc. But one of the most interesting was the issuance of well completion reports. When finding out about the process of drilling wells outside of the realm of required depths, parameters, etc., items which were discussed briefly at the first hearing, it was brought to my attention the need for a well completion report to be issued upon the completion of a well installation. As part of the issuance process, a water test needs to be performed, and it is up to the homeowner to decide on the lab they will use and what tests they would like to have performed. As of October 1st, 2022, testing is required for arsenic for newly drilled wells. As outlined in the DEP brochure I previously provided, it is recommended that in blasting/development sites, people test for not only bacteria, but arsenic, uranium, and radon. Short of me asking questions, I would never have known this. And speaking with neighbors, they too did not know this. So much so that one of my neighbors will be sharing their journey of toxic arsenic levels in their body. A development of this capacity will require ongoing testing of our water to ensure safety and quality. Is this an expense that Luancy Construction is going to assume as part of the best practices good faith initiative? See attachment B. Water drainage report. Mr. Shea, a hydrogeologic engineer, gave a brief presentation on how water volume data is extrapolated in an effort to ease concern of water adequacy. While it was a technical explanation that, if I'm being honest, was hard to follow, I think there are more questions that need to be addressed. Specifically, was the stormwater drainage report that was submitted and stamped as received June 2024 revised to include more recent data? I know it was indicated that it was revised to address comments from the town engineer, but after having received a copy of those comments, I note that no such specific request was made by Mr. Benny. Having obtained a copy of the storm drainage report associated with this application, and after seeing the assigned file number, Storm Water Management number 118 Parsonage Hill Road, North Branford, Connecticut, CE file 2019.049, the question that immediately came to mind was whether this report was based on pre-development data that was used for the 4 houses that have already been built, or new data taking into consideration a 9-home subdivision development. Now that there have been almost 5 years since the initial report, they can prove or disprove, whatever be the case, the assumptions that were previously made. What needs to be taken into consideration is the impervious surfaces for a 9-home development with the potential for pools versus the smaller 4-home version where less of an impact would be assumed for groundwater absorption / runoff, etc. Mr. Benny is out of the office until Monday, October 19th, so we had limited contact. However, he seemed to think that planning and zoning was in receipt of more current information, but he did not expand on what that data was. An email was sent by me to David Perkins to try and confirm it if more current, including this information, was submitted by James Preddy and or Peter Shea on behalf of the applicant at the last hearing. At the time of preparing my letter, I have not received confirmation of this. This commission should seek this specific answer out tonight to ease the minds of those who have expressed concerns prior to making a decision. See attachment C. Traffic concerns. And Dave, it seems like great minds think alike because you and I did something very similar. As discussed at the last meeting, concerns were raised that the traffic study being utilized for this development was antiquated and dates back to 2006. I reached out to the records officer at the North Branford Police Department and requested data for the period of 2005 to 2024 present. The parameters I used were for a radius which captures Village Street, Parsonage Hill Road, and Auger Road. The data indicated 1,849 motor vehicle stops, and it didn't expand on what those stops included, 135 accidents, and 5 accidents that involved extrication or rollovers, 33 which involved injuries. These numbers seem significant for rural roads and likely do not capture the true picture of what is occurring, i.e. vehicles exceeding posted speed limits but not being captured as an officer with a radar mechanism is not present. I do note that within the past 48 hours, a traffic speed meter has been set on my street at the base of the hill coming from Village to Parsonage. Perhaps data can be obtained from this mechanism. A copy of the 2006 traffic study has been included. See attachment D. On a sidebar before I continue, Dave, I contacted the police department as recent as 3 or 4 hours ago before they closed for the day, and I was told that they had no knowledge of that traffic meter being placed on the street, and they didn't know who did that. And I reached out to Public Works, and they were already closed for the day. So the police department indicated to me that they did not put that there, or they had no knowledge of how it got there, because I wanted to understand further how those worked. So I'm just adding that in as a sidebar. Closing comments. For the record, I would like to offer up to this commission and Mr. Tarleglio the fact that my opposition to this proposed development is in no way of a personal nature. I would be reacting the same way for any developer proposing this type of subdivision. My concerns are real and valid. I am here tonight for more than just a concerned citizen who will be greatly impacted by this development. I am here also as a mother of 5 great kids, a wife, a daughter, a sister, an aunt, a great aunt, a friend, a neighbor, and in many other roles not mentioned here. As previously stated, while I recognize the right for the applicant to purchase property and to propose plans for development, I recognize my right and the need in all of those roles noted above and as directly impacted citizen to oppose that right and express very valid concerns that are not only mine, but shared by many. As I have a responsibility to my children to keep them as safe and as healthy as possible, I feel the town and its various committee members share that same role for its citizens and their safety and concerns. That having been said, I feel that this commission tonight has a greater role than casting a vote for the approval or denial of a proposed application. While I recognize what was indicated in the last meeting of what the role of planning and zoning and the assumed fact there is no liability on the town's behalf, I would like to express my opinion on that as just a layperson with a simplistic but common sense view on very complex issues. As a member of the planning and zoning or any town committee, I feel like the members play a fiduciary role for the town and its citizens. They are essentially charged with the task of reviewing various things, such as in this instance, a proposed building application for development, and then to educate themselves on the various issues/requirements that need to be factored into their decision. In the event that there are no applicable regulatory agencies overseeing compliance with laws, regulations, etc., there still remains a responsibility to uphold those and therefore require adherence on the part of the applicant. Current standards supported by various laws and agency guidance should be the default, as there is really no need to recreate the wheel when valid practices exist that are time and industry proven. When citizens appear before the town and its representatives, it is their job to hear the words that are being spoken and act accordingly. That could include requesting additional data that is based on real-time circumstances instead of antiquated materials, like in this instance, a 2006 traffic study, requesting testimony of industry experts, again, backed by applicable current data, i.e. stormwater drainage reports being based on current data, consideration of pathogens introduced based on type of rock, and processes being used to develop, or various requests posed to the applicant. Absent these considerations, I would suggest that the town is putting itself in a position where they could in fact share in potential liability if, God forbid, something bad happened and it was documented that concerns were raised and unaddressed. For example, to better express this point, the signing of a waiver at an amusement park to go on rides, if something in that instance went awry, that minor piece of paper does not take away the issue of liability that could potentially be assigned to the park, its employees, etc. To the developer, and this certainly not exclusive to Luancy Construction, my opinion is that they too have a fiduciary responsibility to the members of the community to which they will be selling their homes. Waivers of items that are designed as safety mechanisms, such as sidewalks and bus stops, should not be requested. The safety and welfare of their future clients, family, friends, and neighbors should all be considered. The words that I've spoken during these past few hearings are not of a personal nature towards Mr. Tarleglio or his company. These concerns are not exclusive to Luancy Construction, but it so happens with this proposed development, they are literally in my back and side yard. The issues concerning outdated traffic studies, inadequate non-conforming roads, quality and quantity of water, structural damage caused to property and wells from development processes such as blasting, the potential health hazards caused by crystalline particles and arsenic being released into the air and groundwater, failed septic systems leading to waste potentially contaminating public water sources in addition to private wells, compromising of neighbors' existing wells and septic system leaching fields, etc., all factor into the need for disapproval. In my younger years, I often found myself using the quote, "ignorance is bliss." But in my current stage of life with this development, I feel as though ignorance is dangerous and potentially fatal. Just because technology allows for the means by which to develop a particular parcel of land doesn't mean that the laws of nature will allow or tolerate it. The correct decision to be made is to deny this application. Short of that, this development could lead to the North Branford Part 2 version of the Aaron Brockovich story. Thank you for your time and thoughtful consideration. I appreciate being given the opportunity to express my concerns on this matter. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you for your testimony. Would anyone like to speak in opposition to the development?
Hi, Noreen Conklin, 196 Parsonage Hill Road. May I share something with you?
Sure. Thank you.
In Martha Capella's presentation at the July 11th meeting, she spoke of a neighbor who was experiencing personal health issues that appears to be linked to the presence of arsenic in their body and well water. As a very private person, I am choosing to share in a very public way the health challenge she spoke of that I've been going through for a number of years. I am doing this because I believe it is important for my health and the health of my family and my neighbors on Parsonage Hill and our surrounding North Branford community. I have a heart arrhythmia of unknown origin, and it has been getting progressively worse. I have always been very health conscious, so I did not take this diagnosis lightly. I have spent countless hours researching the possible cause of this condition, in addition to implementing lifestyle changes recommended by various medical professionals, along with the addition of an alphabet of vitamins and supplements. My doctors and I still have been unable to find the root cause of this condition. After very expensive testing, none of which has been covered by insurance, and by the process of elimination during our quest to find the cause of this condition, it was recommended by my physician that we next search for a possible environmental component, specifically our well water system. We had previously installed a whole house sediment filter as well as a UV light system to address any possible bacteria issues. The doctor I am currently working with, having reviewed all of my medical history, asked me in January of 2024 if we had ever tested our well water for heavy metals. My husband and I have lived on Parsonage Hill for 40 years, and we do test our well periodically for bacteria, which is a common concern for wells. I did read that on the water test from 2021, the presence of arsenic and uranium was noted. I had no idea what that meant at the time, but I do now. So in January of 2024, at the cost of $720, I took a very comprehensive toxin test prescribed by my physician from a specific lab in California called Vibrant America Clinical Lab. It showed concerning levels of arsenic, uranium, as well as other heavy metals in lesser percentages in my body. The Vibrant American Clinical Lab states in my test results, quote, arsenic is a naturally occurring element distributed throughout the Earth's crust and in groundwater. Arsenic-contaminated water used for drinking and irrigation of food crops poses the greatest threat to public health. Chronic exposure can lead to the risk of developing cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, affected cognitive abilities, and cancer. And this quote is from the Connecticut Department of Public Health publication number 24, Private Well Water Testing. Uranium is naturally present in bedrock in many places throughout Connecticut. When a drinking water well is drilled into bedrock containing uranium, the uranium can get into the well water. And previous studies have found associations between chronic uranium exposure and increased risks of hypertension, cardiovascular diseases, kidney damage, and lung cancer. On the property we are concerned about, on 118 Parsonage Hill Road, the tons of surface soil that was in place for centuries above this rock ledge was removed from it about 1965 and sold as fill for the I-91 construction project. What was left is the millions-of-year-old basalt rock ledge with none of the natural protection that that soil would have provided. And Martha Capella's presentation at that last meeting gave us information stating that the disruption of that rock during construction via drilling or blasting has a high degree of potential to release these heavy metals into the groundwater below, and thus becomes a greater level of concern because it is the only source of our drinking water. An additional concern, as we've also discussed, is the release of crystalline silica particles into the air, which is typical in this type of construction. Mr. Chiriglio has said that he cannot guarantee he would have to blast, but he cannot guarantee that he won't have to blast. We also have concerns about what lawn services may be used in this development, and the chemicals used to maintain 9 new lawns, as well as the introduction of home pools and their accompanying chemicals, which will find their way to the aquifer. Without sufficient soil above the rock ledge, disruption of this rock will most likely have to take place in some form or another. What the end result will be on the water, the air, and the environment, we don't know, and we won't know until it's too late to correct. Sadly, we were not given the opportunity to express our concerns in 2020 because none of us knew of any new proposals, as well as it being during the time of COVID. And the minutes from that meeting will show no resident participation or comments at that meeting. That would not have been the case had we known. All of the concerns we brought before you in 2006 relative to the wells and the traffic concerns on the road, that was never intended to accommodate this much traffic safely. No matter what anyone else says, we live on that road, and we live with the ever-increasing amount of traffic, the speed of that traffic crossing over that road, the amount of delivery vehicles, and traffic cutting over Parsonage Hill to access Route 22. We live with that every day. We see it. In the 40 years we've lived there, it's changed dramatically. We are coming to you with concerns now that have grown far greater than in 2006. And there is now evidence with current water tests of health concerns that may be linked to the current water contamination with the potential for it to get worse. If this has impacted the personal health of other residents of Parsonage Hill, it is not my place to share with you. But I am very sure, given the absence of any other significant cause for my cardiac issues to exist, that it has impacted my health in a very negative way. I'm currently in month 4 of a 6 to 7 month environmental detox program prescribed by my physician to remove the heavy metal toxicity from my body. Also expensive, also completely out of pocket, which I hope will show some positive results and may require a long-term protocol. We all believe that we are well within our rights to express our concerns because we live there. This is where we live and have lived for a long time. And this is important for you to help you discern whether to approve or deny. My neighbors and friends and fellow citizens of North Branford who are represented here ask that you make the decision and make the right decision and deny this proposal. Even though this application has the right to be before you, it should not be approved now that we are aware of all the negative impacts, known and unknown, that it may impose on those of us who make up the past, present, and future of the town of North Branford. We can't go back and reverse damage to the land and the people who have lived on it for decades once it's done. We trust that by serving on this commission, that is your concern as well for the citizens of the town of North Branford. We were disappointed at the last meeting to hear a comment made by a member of the commission that the owner of the land can do pretty much anything he wants. What came to mind as I heard that, and what I was taught and what I believe, was that the role of government, either federal, state, or on the local level, is to protect the rights of the individuals. Absolutely, yes. But also to protect the health and safety of all the people making decisions for the greater good of the people that they were appointed to serve. We ask you to please deliberate on this carefully and wisely based on all that we have presented to you and deny this proposal. Thank you.
Patsy Kickey, 190 Parsonage Hill Road. I'll start with septic systems. I'm very concerned about septic systems being installed for the proposed 9 houses. I don't know how they could have passed a perk test, especially lot 12 that abuts my property, since I've been on this property and there's visible ledge at ground level. So I assume there will definitely be blasting or soil brought in to have the leaching fields worked properly. Wells. I had my well tested on June 18th of this year. Results were I had coliform bacteria, calcium, magnesium, arsenic, traces of arsenic, and uranium. I would like a guarantee from the town or the builder that if these levels increase due to the proposed building, that one of these entities will be held responsible. By the way, I bleached my well and I still have coliform bacteria, so I had to install an ultraviolet light system to remove the bacteria. I am very concerned about them drilling 9 wells so close to my property, since when they built 178 Parsonage Hill Road, we had sediment in our water for 3 months, and it cost us time and money to remove. Sinkhole. I have had a sinkhole in my driveway since we moved in 1986. I filled, dug out, compacted down to 8 feet, ran drain pipes, repaved 4 times. I have also run a curtain drain along the edge of my property to try to correct this issue. It is still sinking. The reason I am bringing this up is there is instability underground in this area. Maybe the board could consider getting a complete study from underground hydrologists. Traffic. I'm also concerned about traffic. As I said in my letter from the last meeting, the road is dangerous at both ends and was not designed to handle today's traffic, never mind an increase. The road is substandard on all levels. I think the town should be responsible to bring the road to today's standards if this development is approved. Also, for the 2020 build of 4 houses, there was no notification to landowners within 100 feet of those 4 houses. I don't understand how an approval can be made without notification to adjacent property owners. I believe that it is a town and a state statute. I would like to submit a video of the swale on my property in action. What it depicts is there is so much water that the water has taken a new path and not to the swale. That's it. I can provide that video.
I'm going to click on it and you guys can share this. Just start it. Can you click on this? I am the top one. I can't see it. But right here. I am 9290. Yeah. Here we go.
So where the bridge is where the swale normally is. This is running through my property,
Down from the proposed building lots.
lot 12,
So where are you standing filming this? Is your house behind you?
behind me.
Okay, and to the right of you, further in the distance?
The left, there's a lot
Here.
row.
What's over here? Give me a perspective of
Oh, he can't see it.
Sorry about that.
Oh, so this is the property line where those trees are?
Do you have
And that's lot 12?
Right here, what,
Yes.
Lot 12 is on this side of the
And
rock
this is
wall.
where the swale normally runs, and this is where it's running during this rainstorm.
Okay.
That was new? Coming this way was new?
Yes,
Do you have the pictures, Pat, as well? You have the pictures?
yes.
Want to show them those as well? I'm sorry, it's not that fancy. You have to point the arrow there and re-click it. Yeah, right there, and it'll replay it.
What, do you want to go back or?
Now, I was willing to email them to you, but Dave told me that I needed to submit it tonight. We have it, and I sent it over to him to email it to you guys because your email addresses are private. I'm not, able to have access to that.
Right, the public hearing is for everyone to
Yes.
see it,
Yeah.
every commissioner, so that's why.
Okay, well, that's fine. So that's why you have to look at it on my computer versus it would have been emailed over to you.
Okay. Gotcha.
So these, I've already
I got
given
this.
you.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Trish, do you remember seeing these, Trish? at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's standing in the swale.
Right.
That's well, yeah.
Okay.
Good evening. Bob Coughlin, 196 Parsonage Hill Road. I'm the proud husband of that brave woman who just opened up to you about her ongoing health issues. At the last meeting, I presented my homemade map of Parsonage Hill Road, pointing out all of its safety issues and deficiencies, and asking that a new road survey be performed, preferably when our schools are in session, in order that we get a more accurate count of the ever-increasing daily vehicle trips on our woefully undersized road. Obviously, before we even think about adding 75 or more vehicles onto our hill. Tonight, we have already heard from some very timely, supportive comments about the history and construction abilities of Mr. Carleglio. I can only believe that these people have made true and honest statements. Let the quality of his construction is not what we were worried about. Our well water and 13 more septic systems are what we're concerned about. Tonight, I'd just like to spend a few minutes talking about something that nobody likes to talk about, which is septic systems. I grew up in the city, enjoying the benefits of city water and city sewers. When we moved to Northford, we had to quickly learn about the delicate balance between Mother Nature and us, the proud new owners of a drilled well and that mysterious septic system. A properly installed engineered septic system should theoretically last forever if it's maintained correctly. Remember that old saying, if you take care of it, it will take care of you. Septic tanks need to be pumped out on a regular basis, and that depends on how many people are in the household. The basic rule on what goes into the tank is septic safe toilet paper only, no fats, no oils, no strong chemicals. Natural stuff only goes into the tank. And that creates the perfect chemical soup. Septic tank size is determined by the number of bedrooms in the house. So a typical 3-bedroom home requires a 1,250-gallon tank. The more the bedrooms, the larger the tank. That 1,250-gallon tank is about the size of a small car. A concrete tank of that size is 8 feet long, 5.5 feet wide, and 6 feet tall. A healthy septic system needs a lot of, and I'm going to use a 4-letter word here, soil. It needs a lot of soil. It needs a lot of soil above it because we don't want to see what's going on underground. But most importantly, it needs a lot of soil below it. The more soil, the better. You see, all of those solids coming from the sinks and the toilets and the showers and the washing machines all go into the septic tank and then sink to the bottom and form a sludge. If you pump out that sludge on a regular schedule, every couple of years if you have more than a few toilet flushers in your house, or you might be able to stretch it out a little longer if there are fewer people in the household. Not all of the materials sink to the bottom of the tank. Any oils or fats or soap suds tend to float on the surface of the dirty water. And then they find their way, or leach, out into the piping in the leaching field. My logical mind asks me, what happens next? The soil below the leaching field acts like a big coffee filter. If there's an unlimited amount of soil under the leaching field, everything coming out from underneath the pipes is filtered by the soil. So what happens when 9 new leaching fields are placed on trap rock ledge with very little soil underneath those leaching fields? And that's what does all the filtering. I'm sure that all of you at some time or another have watched the Bounty paper towel commercial on television. 2 20-somethings sitting on the floor, unsuccessfully trying to build one of those IKEA-style tables. And then a can of soda suddenly empties out to that hard surface of that collapsing table. This is what I picture happening on the land at 118 Parsonage. We used to call a ½ inch of rainfall a heavy rain. Now, it's 2 or 3 inches of rainfall. That's the new normal. So guess what happens when you have a combination of a heavy rainfall and the lack of that deep filtering soil underneath those 9 leaching fields? The dirty, poorly filtered water now only has 2 choices. One is to rush off the land, rush off that hard rock surface, just like that spilled can of soda on the surface of that IKEA table in the Bounty commercial. And then what does it do? Then it travels the easiest route, like towards the swale on the Zakiki family's property. Or even worse, that dirty, unfiltered water starts to search for cracks in the rock ledge. And then what does it do? It falls unfiltered right down into our freshwater aquifer. That is our worst nightmare. And speaking of soil, builders hate to spend money on secondary things like trucking in soil. We and our neighbors are not going to like it when monster truckloads of fill soil start lumbering up our hill. Remember, the bigger the truckload, the more soil it can hold, and the least amount of truck trips saves that contractor a lot of money. And by the way, is anybody from the town or East Shore Health going to be monitoring the kind of soil that he's going to have to bring in to cover those 9 septic systems? Is it going to be good topsoil? Good topsoil is expensive. Or is it going to be something less than that? Logical minds question these kind of things. We ask that members of this commission please consider all of these what-ifs when making your decision. Just one final thought. 4 houses have already been built. 9 more are proposed to be built. This is not a 55 and over subdivision, so there's going to be a lot of school kids living there. There are already children living in the first 4 houses, so I'm sure that there are going to be more children if other houses were to be built. I would love to know who it was that signed off on that waiver eliminating the requirements for a bus stop and sidewalks. I would think that the safety of our school children would take precedence over any kind of a real estate deal. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak in opposition to the development?
I do have one other thing I'd like to share. No words though.
Before anyone else, hold on, Martha. Anyone else have anything else to say? Okay. Go ahead, Martha.
I'm sorry, Trish. I keep knocking these things over. Next meeting, they gotta be taped. You've heard a lot of different comments and things covered tonight. A good friend of mine sent this over to me today, and again, my heart sunk. What you see there in front of you, again, based on the decision that you make tonight, could set a precedent. Another 9-home subdivision, 5 homes down, again, from mine. The same issues that exist today for this current development will exist for the same one. The decision that you deliver has to be a thoughtfully one that has taken into consideration all of the factors, because this is going to be a disaster.
Anyone else like to speak in opposition to development? Name and address?
My name's Leon Izzo. I live on 172 Parsonage Hill Road. All these like fields that used to be fields are now turning into houses, and I know a lot of people don't like that. And they're gonna build all these houses everywhere, and like a lot of fields are like turning into like neighborhoods and houses. And the builders, like, they don't care that the wells will be destroyed. They don't care that all these consequences will happen. They just want money.
to? Anyone else? Opposition to? In light of the new information, I'd like to, with permission of the developer, to have a continuance one more time, if that's all right. With your permission.
Sorry.
In light of some new development that the community had presented, we're looking at one more continuance for the next meeting, which is the first week of September.
Oh, and we have to wait for the traffic study results too.
We want to look at the traffic study and reconsider some of the things that have been presented today.
Would it be possible that we could get a copy of this information out of Andy?
Of course. Let's see why not. Present all of it to you. Okay? Do we have your permission?
I guess so, yes.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to continue this public hearing open until the next meeting, September 5th.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion. No?
No, we're going to leave it open. I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Chairman, should we hold some of our comments to answer to some of the comments that were made to the next meeting? Or would it be a good idea for us to address them and clarify some of these things this evening?
Joe, I think it'd be a good idea to look at all the information, consider it all, look at your plan of what you're proposing, look at that, and we consider a lot of what was developed, what was said today. And I don't think it's a problem talking to the planner about it, to come up with some plan and then present exactly what you want to do in addressing the concerns of the community.
It wasn't the concerns, it was some of the misinformation that I heard.
Yes, that'll be fine.
For him to speak now and.
Oh, do you want to go right ahead? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were,
Sure.
want to do it later. Okay.
Yeah, I'd prefer to do it tonight
Absolutely.
while it's fresh.
Sure.
I compliment Mrs. Capella. I mean, she's so organized and has done quite a bit of research here. But there are a number of things that really should be clarified. And yes, I will allow to go to the next meeting, but I think some of these things should be heard now and clarified now. So Mrs. Capella is correct regarding about the Farm Act and the tax that I pay on the property. So yeah, I did take advantage of that. But she also mentioned that I collect rent from the property. I don't collect a cent because it's been hard for me to get any farmer to really farm there. So I don't collect a penny, just so it's known. One of the reasons why it's important for me to keep it farmed, besides the tax credit, is that I don't want to see this property overgrown and really look like a big jungle afterwards. Because I had 1 year where it wasn't farmed, and the property started getting overgrown, and I wasn't pleased with it. So that's why I allow a farmer to farm it, and I don't collect anything on that. She also made a comment regarding me owning another piece of property in North Haven, which is true. I do own an abutting piece of property in North Haven. And she's insinuating that I have intentions of connecting the two pieces together. In no way, and I will attest to that this evening, that's never my intention. My intention is not to connect the two parcels. I've been offered many other opportunities for this parcel at this point. I have one of the other abutting neighbors that did want to traffic through my property. I didn't feel it was in the best interest of this town for me to open up any passageway from one town to another. I was also approached by solar panel farms, cell towers. I had a banquet facility that wanted to propose a project up there. Once again, I didn't feel that this was the proper settings for this community or the town. So this is why I am proposing this modest subdivision of 9 lots. Regarding the sidewalks, her question was that we have a undersized, and I don't even want to reference it as a road or private road. This paved area that is on this parcel of property, it is sized properly to accommodate sidewalks, both sides, left and right. We only requested the waiver of sidewalks, once again, is to keep the integrity of the town of Northford, where there really is no sidewalks. But it's clearly the decision of this commission whether or not they choose the sidewalks or not, if the approval is granted. Mr. Coughlin's explanation of septic designs, very thorough, but these are designed by our health districts and our engineers, and they're confirmed by our health districts. So everything that he is saying is accurate, but there is plenty of soils that are prepared for it, and any type of filtration that goes through these soils, it will be adequately prepared. So, they could rest assured of that. Health issues. I am a parent too, and I have 2 children that are very anxious to build their homes up there. So with that said, would I be putting my own children in harm's way by allowing them to build on a piece of property that has arsenic or anything of that nature? So with that said, I'm just hoping that the commission realizes I'm hoping that we focus on what the priority here is of the subdivision. We've prepared all the due reports necessary for the wells, for the water. We've done our traffic studies. We've done everything that we really needed to prove what we needed to prove. A lot of the items here that I hear are kind of like not very clear, and I think they're just getting led in a different direction. So with that said, I just wanted to clear some of those items up. One more thing, please. Back to the 4-lot subdivision, where I keep hearing that we kind of pulled like some kind of a shady deal. We proposed those 4 lots with the help of the town planner at the time. She was the one that guided us through. And with just the 4 lots, we did not need a public hearing. It was just a simple split of 4 lots that had to be presented to the commission, and it was voted on by the commission and approved. Those lots were approved September of 2019, way before COVID, when COVID opened up in March 8th, 2020. So we were not hiding behind the COVID pandemic in any way. We were guided by town staff of how to divide the 4 lots. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Dave, you have any comments?
There is no requirement for a public hearing for the initial subdivision.
Okay. That clarifies that one. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate your testimony in that. With that being said, I think it'd be a good idea for one more time for the commission to have a continuance of this public hearing until September 5th, so we can get more information regarding the traffic study and digest some more of the information as a commission to make the appropriate action necessary for both the commission, the town, and the community. So with that being said, this public hearing is going to be continued to September 5th. That doesn't need a motion, or does it?
No.
No. So with that being said, we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda.
So we could sort of jump right into the Branford Road one, since
Be short.
it's short.
Do you want me to read into the legal ad?
I'm sorry?
Do you want me to read the legal ad?
Yes, before you start, I'm sorry.
I'll be what?
Yeah, let me get my stuff together. So next item on the agenda is application 2024-13218 Branford Road, and subsequent application 2024-14 and 2024-15. Barry's going to read into the Commissioner Ponder's going to read into the record the public notice for these 3 public hearings. Sorry about that.
Legal notice, North Branford Planning and Zoning Commission. Notice is hereby given that the North Branford Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, August 15, 2024 at the North Branford Town Hall, 909 Foxen Road, North Branford, Connecticut, to consider the following. A, application number 2024-13, special use permit request for a new food and beverage establishment, restaurant with drive-through at 286 Branford Road. Owner applicant R&R North Branford Ventures LLC. Charge of attorney Sarah Sharp. B, application number 2024-14, special use permit, request for the construction of an oversized detached garage, 40 by 35, 1,350 square feet, for storage of vehicles at 138 Oxbow Lane. Owner applicant Stephen Calvo. C, application number 2024-15, special use permit, request to operate a takeout restaurant in an existing gas station convenience store at 1371 Middletown Avenue. Owner Cheryl Riley. Applicant Valdetta Kimka. At the hearing, all interested persons may appear and be heard, and written communications will be received. Copies of proposals are on file for public inspection in the Town Hall Planning Department. Signed, Chairman Robert Nowak.
Okay, so applicant 2014, sorry.
Good evening. For the record, Sarah Sharp. I'm a lawyer with offices at 135 Broad Street in Milford. We are here tonight. I'm here on behalf of the applicants, R&R North Branford Ventures LLC and 286 Branford Road LLC, Branford Road Associates, excuse me. We would like to open the hearing and continue it to September 5th. We did receive comments from the engineering department and the traffic division. Our traffic engineer has been out on vacation with it being August, so we weren't able to fully respond to those comments. So rather than, give you a partial presentation tonight with a lot of outstanding questions, we thought to address everything at once with a comprehensive presentation in September, and we'll have the full team here. If there are any comments, obviously I'm happy to take those down. I don't have my experts here to answer questions, but I could make sure to take them back to the team so that we do answer everything thoroughly in September.
So with that being said, we're just going to continue public hearing come September 5th, and we'll just proceed instead of giving any comments or questions at this point in time, since we don't have the rest of your group here, so we'll just continue it.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Appreciate it. Okay, next on the agenda is application 2024-14, 138 Oxbow Lane. Is the applicant here? Can you state your name and address for the record?
Stephen Calvo, 138 Oxbow Lane.
So tell us about your project, Stephen.
Yes, I've proposed to do a detached garage that I'm going to use for storage, and also as retaining for an area that we're going to eventually put a above-ground pool.
Gotcha.
What about the pool?
Oh, we're going to be doing the pool, like above-ground pool up the side of it. That's not part of the application. The application is just for the detached garage.
Okay, I'm not quite sure why you brought the pool up.
Well, that's part of the reason why we're doing it, because I was going to have to put a retaining wall to put a pool in that area, so it was a good idea to just do the garage, and that would act as part of the wall, to make an area where we could put a pool for the kids.
So Stephen, thank you for the, how big is your garage going to be?
It's 35 by 40.
So there's some information regarding the ownership of the property.
Yep.
Okay, you aware of that, Stephen?
I'm sorry?
Are you aware of that 44% of it's owned by yourself, the other 44% is owned by James?
Yeah, my brothers.
But the application is only with your name on it.
Okay.
So the application should be reissued, redrawn up and given to.
Yeah, I sent you an email earlier today when I reviewed it.
Oh, so my brother's name's on it as well? Oh, that's not a problem.
Yeah, no, you need the other people to sign it.
Okay, yeah.
They can email me, which is fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
What's the use of the garage?
I wanted to put put our cars inside, so my truck inside.
And why does it need to be larger than 1,000 square feet?
Well, I mean, I have my truck is large, so a lot of my tools and stuff on it. It won't fit into, just a regular sized garage. So, like 3-4 months ago, we had somebody on our property, trying to break in, and I submitted the video to the cops. So just in light of that, and I decided it was a good time to build something to, and I got kids that are growing up and going to be driving soon. So, I want to make sure that, they can pull into the garage and be safe. So.
And is the property used as a commercial business at all?
No, but I drive my truck to and from, that's my vehicle is my truck, so.
And you have your paving businesses located where?
In Guilford and in Durham.
And you have equipment stored in those
There, yeah.
locations?
Yeah, none of my equipment for my business is stored in my house.
And your business is just listed as your house for
I have my home office there.
home office?
Yeah.
So this is strictly not commercial usage?
No, not commercial,
and-
it's just for my own, personal vehicles, and yeah, I do drive my truck for work. That, that's my daily truck, so.
And the pool would be located in the area on your property where there's sort of construction?
In between,
equipment?
like, my house and the garage, yeah, closer to the house.
Not over where you have sort of
No.
stuff stored?
No, it would be closer to the house.
And the storage of equipment that you have at the house now, are you gonna remove that? Do you keep that? You have like an excavator and?
I have that there to start on, on the
And that would
project.
be removed when the garage is completed?
Oh, yeah, it's there to do the project, so.
Okay, seems like it's been there for a while.
It's been there for like 2 weeks, so.
Okay. I think those are my concerns, is that we make
Yeah, I
sure
mean, I
that
could
this is not a
submit you
commercial.
I have a commercial property in Durham where I have more than adequate space to keep my equipment. It's not stored on the street, so.
Dave, was there any public comment relative to development of the property? I don't remember we had a conversation. about
No,
this.
there was a woman who came in and just discussed issues that she had, but she put nothing in writing, and she's not here today.
Okay.
I think if you choose to approve it, or you want to continue it, since we have all these other continuations, I think you could approve it subject to the receipt of confirmation of ownership from the other people.
I mean, I can have that to you for tomorrow, so.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question? I'm used to, like, way bigger pieces of paper and like, we ask questions / you about like, what type of siding do we want? Are we supposed to have that? Like,
I think that's a good question. I mean, you sort of have two
Kinda want
drawings there,
that.
one with 2 doors and one with 1 door, and.
So
they
I'm
asked-
only gonna have 2, so that's why I said that the plan, my neighbor, it was nice enough to let me,
Right.
use
Well,
their-
maybe the wise thing would be to get a real drawing of what the materials are and everything else, and come back with everybody else in 2 weeks or whatever it is, 3 weeks. I know you had that concern up front as to,
I have a concern. Yeah, I've always had the concern that residents come in front of the commission with a sketch of their property, and they expect us to just say, yes.
Okay.
You did a better job than most, so I commend you on that, but there's a certain level of expectation that the commission would like to see put forward. And so you've done a great job, initial job, so if you could go back to the drawing board and kind of figure out exactly what you want to do, 2 or 3, because you have 3 on one, 2 on the other, identify what your building materials are. You said an oversized garage, but it's just a normal garage, 7x8 garage door, so that's a normal sized garage door.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You
but
made
the
it sound like
footprint, yeah.
Right.
It's the length of the truck, so.
the length of the truck, right?
Right. The length of my truck won't fit in my existing garage.
Oh, roger that. Okay.
do we need?
you're gonna need to get those sort of
Yeah.
building drawings anyway. for the building department to get a building permit.
Okay.
So you might as well,
Okay, because when I
Do it
came in,
for
I was
us.
told I didn't need, I could do something on paper, like on draft, so I don't need it done by an engineer, correct? Or an architect.
you're gonna need something that's gonna be acceptable to the building
It's like
official.
a drawing, like a framing drawing of the.
Yeah,
of the
but
frame.
we're
Okay.
gonna we're more
Yeah.
interested in what it's gonna look like than the structural part.
Okay.
And then Steve, how does it blend in with your house? How does it work with the other houses in the neighborhood is our concern, that you're not gonna put something that's purple in a neighborhood. So we're looking for that,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like looking to put in like,
Well,
yeah, I got you.
understood.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
It's not
just,
it's not gonna be like a steel building, it's gonna be vinyl siding and, I mean, it's my house.
we just need the visuals.
Yeah,
And do we need, I'm really bad at visual spatial, so if it's a bigger garage, like, is there information we need on stormwater runoff, like,
I already sent that to, I don't know if that, they said that they were contacting
Oh,
the
we got
town. I
that?
did with the Regional Water Authority. I just dropped off the application, he said that he had.
No, but you're right in terms of runoff. How are the leaders gonna be attached? Are they gonna go into the ground, the gutters?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen with that?
I mean, my existing ones are underground right now, so. I mean, that's
So it would be the same sort
the
of.
same, yeah, I could tie into the existing pipes that are there that go out to the.
So I think what you should do is make an appointment with me next week and Victor,
Okay,
the town engineer,
yep,
and just go over more of a site plan basis than just, I want to build a garage.
okay.
And I think I'm probably bad on not advising you more on what the commission needs.
Yes.
Okay.
This is sort of a new territory for us
Okay.
in terms of oversized garages.
you can't go wrong with more information with us.
Right.
And visual, as if like, okay, we're gonna be there and see this.
Right.
At least for me especially, because all the black and white. I mean, on my teammates, but the other pieces, like, for example, like the Starbucks, like, it's a
How many
picture in
pages?
color, and
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
saying we need,
Yeah.
if that's not required, I'm not saying we have to require that, but just way more of a paint the picture, so
Right.
we get.
Well,
like-
that's why it's a special permit.
I mean, like, I could
as
make
opposed
it,
to-
like, I mean, you told me that I could make it slightly smaller, and I don't need to have a special use permit, and I could just get a
It's
building
under
permit.
1,000 square
Right.
feet, right.
So, I mean, right, it's the only reason why I want it big enough is so that I can put my truck in so that it's safe and, secure, but, yeah, that's it.
Okay, well, let's just continue it until September, and
So I gotta come September, and you'll tell me what I need to do to
Yeah.
prepare for that, okay. So when, just call you.
call me
set the
next
time.
week, and Victor's on vacation, but
Okay.
I want him involved.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Gotta give you time, Steve, to resolve the issues of what we'd like to see through Dave, and then
Yeah, I get my brothers
revise
to
the
sign the
application
application.
to have all the partners of the property sign the application.
Okay,
Yeah.
so can I just amend the one that, or do a new one?
That
Yeah.
would-
We'll just amend it.
Okay, so I just have them sign it.
Yep.
Okay. Do they need to come down to the town hall to sign it, or just their signatures?
Just a email from your
Yeah,
siblings.
to my brothers, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine, an email or a letter, or,
Okay, that they're aware and then prove that, okay. Okay. Thank you.
So with that being said, we'll continue this project until next meeting, September 5th.
Okay. Do I have to go after them again?
We could always,
We can
I
amend
think
it,
we
yeah.
can probably
Amend
put you at the top.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All set.
To send a letter.
Well, thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
She should have sent a letter.
All right, so that takes care of that. You good, Barry?
I'm good.
This is last one.
Yeah, we're making way.
Application, next item on the agenda, application 2024-15, 1371 Middletown Avenue. Is applicant here? 1371.
One.
State your name and address for the record and
Good
tell us about your
afternoon.
project.
My name is Izzy Kimka. I'm one of the owners of the gas stations. Thank you for giving us a chance to discuss a project that we believe will positively impact our community. We're proposing to add a bagel to our shop. This isn't just about growing our business, it's about improving convenience and quality for everybody. We're also focused on providing fresh, tasty food that suits every needs, from warm, freshly baked bagels to made order. We aim to offer food you can enjoy confidently. This project also support our local economy. We plan to source many ingredients locally and create new job opportunity for the Northford town. We are committed to following all health, safety, and zoning regulations and will continue working with local authorities to ensure high standards. So we believe this addition will be a great success and we're committed to addressing any issue.
So you redeveloped the gas station?
That's
inside,
correct.
Right?
Yes.
And then the plan is where you're going to put the kitchen area, right? Adjacent to the counter?
Yes.
Okay. And everything else in the schematic is just displays and refrigerators, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
So here's where we planning to put the, do you want to close? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right here.
Okay.
And everybody who wants to order is gonna come from this side, which has enough space for ordering and be able to see the menu.
Okay, gotcha. And it's an existing footprint of the building, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So I'll start with Dave. Do you have any comments or questions regarding the proposal?
I have my staff report that I wrote. Would you like me to go into that first?
Sure, let's start with you.
So I think on the plan that was submitted, it wasn't really shown where the patron area is. Our regulations require one parking space for each 50 square feet of patron area for a restaurant, which is easy to deal with when you have a sit-down restaurant. When you have a takeout restaurant, we don't really have any criteria in our regulations to go by to determine how many parking spaces we would need. So there's sort of a 60 square foot patron area outlined on the plan where people would line up and order food. That would be the restaurant portion of the facility. The other 988 square feet would be the gross space allocated to the retail use of the store. So as a retail use, 988 square feet. For the retail use, it's 150 square feet of retail space for each parking space. So 988 square feet divided by 150 equals 7 spaces required for what's going on there now. There's 10 spaces on the lot now, including one ADA
Yes,
space.
and including the pump gas station base where.
Not even worried about the 8 spaces used for pumping gas.
Yes.
So the retail store would be 928 square feet, subtracting out the 60 square feet for the restaurant, would still require 7 spaces. The 60 square feet being 50 plus 10 would be 2 spaces. So they would need a total of 9 for the retail store and the restaurant. That's the way I calculated it. And they have 10. Plus they have the 8 bays for the gasoline.
Plus some clients park on the curb, 1 and 1 in each side, which could be
Right, but
additional.
those are not legal parking spaces.
Yes, but they still park there within like 4 or 5
Well,
minutes.
you could stripe them if they actually work, and you could stripe them and want to add them to the count. That's up to you. I do recommend doing some restriping anyway.
Okay.
So it makes sense coming in and out because you have 4 curb cuts.
Yes, that's correct.
And right now, we're working on this Northford connectivity study, and one of the goals of that is eliminating curb cuts as much as possible in the Northford section, so it's easier to get in and out, and accidents happen less frequently, and it's
Yeah.
just a good idea. And part of that plan will be to eliminate 2 of the curb cuts at the gas station.
This is something that we'll have to discuss later.
It's something that we will discuss later, but it's something that the commission,
Because that is gonna cause a lot of traffic in the parking lot. If we close 2 of the entrances, because we have a lot of dump trucks coming, getting diesel from us, and if it's only 2, it's only 1 on each side, there's gonna be a lot of problem coming in and out.
okay, well, we can,
Especially
it's
with the traffic we have.
it's a longer term discussion, I think, but.
But the curb cuts has nothing to do with this application.
Correct.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring it up so it's on the radar.
Roger that. Thank you, Dave. Anything else?
No.
Barry, do you have this email from Amanda?
I do have an email.
Would you mind reading that into the record for the?
Yeah, this email is from amanda.demonico@gmail.com. It was sent in this morning to our town planner, Mr. Perkins. And it says, "Dear Mr. Perkins and committee, per our telephone conversation yesterday, please consider this objection for the hearing to be held on August 15th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. The undersigned objects to the proposed deli takeout restaurant in the Northford gas station, as it will adversely impact the community as listed for the following reasons below. In the applicant's special use application, they listed that they plan to offer a takeout restaurant offering bagels and grinders to the local community with proposed hours of operation of 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. In their application, they propose to employ 3 employees and serve 150 customers per day. Pursuant to special use permit section 42 of zoning regulations of the town of North Branford, CT specifically, paragraph 42.4.2 lot and 42.4.3 neighborhood, this proposed deli takeout restaurant is not sufficient in size nor adequate dimension to permit such conduct of said use and will greatly impair the reasonable use, enjoyment, and value of adjacent properties in the neighborhood due to the lack of parking located on said premises for said deli takeout restaurant and for the pre-existing gas station. The proposed location has 10 parking spaces available with 1 designated parking space for handicapped individuals. Automatically, 3 parking spaces are reserved for employees. Automatically, 1 to 2 are reserved for pre-existing gas station employees, leaving 4 available spaces and 1 handicapped space. This is not sufficient parking to operate and maintain 2 businesses within 1 parking lot. This creates an undue burden to the community and poses a safety risk by inviting additional traffic to an already heavily trafficked area, especially when the applicant is proposing to serve 150 customers. The shortage of parking will cause the public to start parking at gas pumps, illegal parking at fire lanes, and on the side of the road, and will create a safety risk to all. This is of no surprise, as this area is the center of town and is a major intersection surrounded by established businesses, daycares, schools, and the fire department company. 2, pursuant to parking and loading section 53, specifically paragraph 53-4.8 and 53.4.10, establishes the standards for parking at motor vehicle service stations and repair garages and restaurants and other food and beverage establishments. Additionally, paragraph 53.6 states whenever 2 or more use classifications listed in paragraph 53-4 shall be applicable to the use of land, buildings, or other structures. The standard requiring the large number of parking spaces shall apply. Where separate parts of a building or structure are determined by adding the number of spaces required for each type of use. By the language of aforementioned paragraphs, this proposed deli takeout restaurant and the pre-existing gas station does not satisfy said requirement as required by the statute. Furthermore, paragraph 53.9 addresses handicap parking, and as mentioned above, this proposal does not satisfy the handicap parking required in accordance with Connecticut State Building Code. Notwithstanding the insufficient, inadequate parking issues, but it is important to mention that there are 6 other established and successful restaurant businesses adjacent to said property: Northford Store, Amanda's Deli, Giovanni's, Milani, Dunkin' Donuts, and Subway. The majority of these businesses have been established on the side of town for over 10 years. And if this proposal is passed, it will strip them not only of their success, but greatly deprive those businesses financially. See paragraphs 42.4.2 and 42.4.3. In accordance with 42.4.3, this proposed deli takeout restaurant would not harmonize with the neighborhood, but rather it will create a division amongst the community. This will not only adversely impact the surrounding businesses, but will also disrupt the camaraderie in the community. Best, Amanda of Amanda's Deli and Grill.
Thank you, Barry.
I do also have a letter from the fire chief. After reviewing the proposed site plan for 1371 Middletown Avenue, I would like to make the following comments. As I mentioned for my review for 2024-13, several town department heads have been involved in numerous meetings over the past few months with SCROG representatives and engineers trying to correct excessive curb cuts in Northford Center and improve the circulation of traffic. Is there a way to reduce the number of curb cuts at this location and potentially create additional parking spaces while not impeding the operation? On the subject of parking spaces, the application states that there are 14 parking spaces. However, on the map provided, I don't see 14 parking spaces. Clarification on this matter would be appreciated. Absent the proper number of parking spaces and hoping that this business will enjoy the same success as a similar arrangement in town, I think the Planning and Zoning Commission should focus on increasing the number of parking spaces to ensure safe ingress, egress, and pedestrian traffic. Regarding the new use, proper assurances inspections will be required of the fire marshal office, since in the current use there is no food preparation cooking taking place. Will there be an underground or above ground tank for fuel for cooking purposes? I would like to ensure that our members are afforded the opportunity to tour the facility prior to its opening, to pre-plan our actions and identify key issues such as alarm panels, gas shutoffs, etc. I don't believe a tour was provided when the station was remodeled recently. Additionally, pursuant to ordinance 40-9, the applicant will be required to install a Knox box at a location to be determined with keys to every locked area of the occupancy. And I have a email from the chief of police. I have no comments related to this project and site plan. However, for the committee, this business is another reason why the other sidewalk installation should have not been eliminated in surrounding properties. So a lot of that's being looked at from the Northford Center study.
What, are you gonna be having, like cooking hot food?
Yes,
So what's,
this is what we're trying to do.
so what, like with the, fire chief's letter, like, is it gonna be, I don't know, an electric grill, an oven?
It's gonna be not an oven, it's gonna be in a grill.
Okay,
It's gonna be a fryer.
okay. Now, does that whole process check it, that's automatic with when something is getting redone?
Yeah.
Okay, the
Yeah,
fire.
you have to get building
marshal
permits and the fire
Can I
marshal will
mention
be
something
involved.
about Amanda's email? What, Amanda's email,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so I don't think her business will be, I mean, because she opens, first of all, she opens too late, every day, like 8 a.m. in the morning, and majority of our business from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Gas station customers are people who usually go to work, they want to grab a sandwich, cigarettes, and go to work. Besides that, she closes too early, around 1:30 to 2 p.m. she's closed, and would be able to keep it open till 4 or 5 p.m. Northford needs something like that. Pizza place, it's not our competition. Since they serve pizzas, we're not going to serve pizzas, and they open late too. When we close, they open. Dunkin' Donuts is a coffee place. It has nothing to do with us. So I don't think the email that she wrote, it's not the right email for our business in there. And if I saw earlier, she has on her website, she has no parking spaces, but she's still trying to complain about our parking spaces. And majority of the times, big trucks that I've seen going by her, my employee told me, they park on the side of the road trying to go grab a sandwich or something, which we have enough parking spaces for our customers to be able to grab a bagel, which takes 2 or 3 minutes to make it happen, and leave the property.
Anything else what Amanda was saying, like, it's not the right size, the size is fine? Oh, no, sorry, I'm asking him.
Oh, okay.
He'll know.
Say it again.
Like she said, it's not sufficient in size, like,
Yeah.
is that fine?
The store itself?
No, yeah, she said, you know, the restaurant is not sufficient in size nor adequate dimensions. Like, is any of that?
I think any size is, there is no size.
It's like an indoor.
Yeah, but this is a takeout restaurant. We're not gonna serve inside. So people will grab and go. They will not eat inside or outside. We have no tables in and out.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing in our regs about like the 2 different uses. Cause I'm thinking about Cal's over in,
And there was never any permit pulled for that use.
And the old ownership, they used to serve food there. Not with a hood, but they used to serve fresh made food to go.
At your site?
Yes, like Patco used to own it, they used to serve fresh food in there. Not with a hood like we're trying to do, we're trying to make it fresh for everybody.
Yeah.
But they used to have food in there. So I don't see why it's a problem by adding a hood there than serving fresh food on to go.
So do you have an answer for the fire chief? Will there be an underground or above ground storage tank for cooking purposes, I'm assuming?
We're gonna put a grease trap in there, which will not be a problem. I guess it's gonna be, I guess it's gonna be inside for it, the grease trap, so it's not gonna be an issue.
And you have propane now?
Yes, we have propane.
But again, that's all part of the process that gets looked at.
Gary, any questions?
Don't have any questions, no.
Okay. Any more, Trish?
No, okay.
Okay, thank you. We're going to open up to the public hearing. So with that being said, we heard from the town planner, the commission. So next I want to open to the public because this is a public hearing.
Yes.
So there's some people in the audience who may want to speak. So I think
We're open to discuss this further with anybody. We're not trying to hurt anybody's business.
Understood. But it's a public hearing, right? So
Okay.
what I want to do is open it up to the public to speak.
Okay.
So you can have
No problem.
Yeah, so you can sit down and then
All
we'll see
right.
if anybody else wants to come talk, and then you'll have an opportunity to rebut or have question or comments. So with that being said, it's a public hearing. I want to open up the public hearing for public comment. Again, the process is those who are in favor of will speak first. Those who are opposed to will come up second. So I'll open it up to the public for those who want to speak in favor of the proposal in front of us today for 1371 Middletown Avenue. Anyone want to speak in favor of? In favor of? Hearing none, then I'll open up to the public for anyone in opposition to have an opportunity to come up and speak against the project. State your name and address.
Good evening, Lindsay DiDomenico, 70 Woodvale Drive, Branford, Connecticut. So I've lived in this town my entire life for over the past 30 years. And as you've heard tonight from other bystanders and residents, that this has been basically a nothing town. It's just been a passing through. There wasn't many businesses. And now it is absolutely booming with business. It's heavily trafficked. It's a huge cut-through area where this proposal wants to be. It's at a viewpoint intersection, as we all know of, and there's a passage from one side of 22 over to Middletown Avenue. It's surrounded by school district. It's surrounded by companies too, the fire department, and just some comments as to the surrounding businesses. There are those businesses that were mentioned in that letter that have been established here for over 10 years. Dunkin' Donuts is not just coffee, it's bagels. I think the application that the applicant filed is very misleading. It's saying it just wants to propose bagels, and then you hear tonight that they want to grill, they want to fry later, they want propane. So I just think it speaks to their character as to what they're essentially going to be doing. When you get your food permit, I don't know if you're aware, you can do whatever you want. It's not just bagels. Once that passes, you can sell anything. And with hours of operation like that, it is absolutely going to interfere with all the other surrounding businesses in this area of town. 5 a.m. to 11 p.m., that is more than an 8-hour day, as you are all aware. And with the statutes, 53.2, I believe it is, it's a mixed-use property that they are proposing. It's a gas station and it's also a restaurant. There's not ample amount of parking. There's nowhere in the regulations that says a gas pump is a parking spot. You would have to amend that regulation. That's not even safe on top of it. It's a highly trafficked area, so everything is going to get backed up. People who want gas are not going to be able to get gas because they have people who are going to get a sandwich or whatever, and they're going to be waiting in line. And as we all know, this is a highly trafficked area. So it does not make sense, and the curbs and the argument that the parking lot across the street isn't sufficient compared to the one that is a V-point is more sufficient than that one. That makes absolutely no sense. Mana's Deli does not have a website, so I don't know where that information came from. The trucks can also come from Dunkin' Donuts. We all see that people hop over the guardrails all the time. It's misleading. So all that information is absolutely misleading. And the same can be said. There's landscapers that park at the gas station. There's with trailers and all the time. So what about the delivery. Now you are going to have delivery drivers of the food supply to be delivering at this gas station / restaurant. So you have to plan for that. I guess that's the loading zones. You have to account for what if there's an emergency. People are going to be parking on the curb. They're going to be parking in front of the fire zone. It's just a hazard. This area of town has always, this certain intersection has always been a hazard, especially at the V. And as we know, as I mentioned, it's the cut through. You have the cut through from one side to the other with that little stop sign. And then if that's backed up, people go through the gas station. So even if it's not sit down and it's take out, you're going to have a line. You're going to have a line, people trying to get gas, trying to buy whatever from the gas station, trying to buy something from the sandwich shop, and it's going to be a hazard. So I object to it respectfully.
Thank you, Linda.
Can I have your address again?
78 Woodville Drive.
Windmill Drive.
Anyone else in opposition to the proposal today? Anyone else in opposition? Hearing none, I'll give you an opportunity to the applicant if you would like to say anything.
Yeah,
in
sure.
Closing arguments?
So, can I?
What do you want to show?
Let's show that it has no parking spaces for the amount that's done.
I got the town planner who can verify whether it does or doesn't.
Okay, and
Thank
she
you.
was concerned about the hood that we're gonna put in there. To bagels, we're not gonna serve empty bagels. To serve bagels, you will need to put maybe bacon or some other stuff in there. So
Sure.
to cook the bacon, you need the hood. You need the grill so we can serve it to the public. So I don't think that does make any sense by providing bagels and not providing the bacon or something else to put it in, the cheese or something else to put it inside.
So how do you take delivery of your products currently being in your store?
So it's gonna be online delivery, which could be through our website. And it's going to be inside delivery, which could take up to 2 to 3 minutes to make a bagel ready.
No,
for
you're
the
talking about the
customer.
products for the
So how
store?
do you stock your store?
We have
Where
enough
is it-
space in the back to stock. We have refrigerators.
Where does the truck park them? Do you
We-
have a unloading zone, loading zone in the front of the shop? Where do you do that?
I don't think we'll necessarily need that because there are restaurant depot where we can go and grab the stuff ourselves and put it on the storage. So that's not going to be an issue.
So right now you have all your shelves are filled. Your
Yes.
refrigerator's filled.
Yeah, delivery comes once a week, which takes not even a minute to unload everything, and if they come early morning, 6:30, so where there is no enough traffic for the people to get it to make it busy.
Okay. Is there a need for a loading unloading zone for this business?
Where do they park?
In the parking spaces?
They park in the
Parking
gas
spaces.
station bays?
No, they do not park on the gas station bay. They park in the parking spaces. And we have only one truck that delivers merchandise to our store, which is HLA. It's called HLA. They come once a week delivering merchandise over to us. But as I said, we will not be using them to delivering food over to us. We will go buy food ourselves to Restaurant Depot, Costco, or whatever wholesaler they are.
So again, the concern that we have is the traffic, as always, in that tough spot that you're in currently. So our conversation about the access points would kind of quell the traffic to some extent.
So right now, one more thing I wanted to mention, it is not 5 or 6 employees that Amanda's email said in there. Right now, we have 1 employee for the store, and we're planning to have 1 or 2 more if we get busy for the kitchen part. So there's enough spaces, and one more thing, we have good relationship with the offices on the back where we can use some of their spaces for our own cars.
Questions, comments? Barry?
Yeah.
So Dave, what's the requirement for parking for employees? Does that take away from the that part of the 9 or the 10?
Well, it would have to be bigger.
Go ahead.
So there's probably enough, I mean, with my analysis of the parking, we only need, what did I say, 7?
10.
Or 8?
9.
9?
7 for the
Okay.
retail.
And we have 10? So we could make one of the 10 larger and make it actually be a delivery size.
Oh, okay. So does the one parking space per 100 square feet include employees? Or
It's
just
just,
anybody?
it's anybody.
Okay, gotcha. So it's not isolated to employees versus customers, okay. Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. I don't have any other questions or comments regarding the issues.
Yeah, my answers.
So with that being said, thank you for your testimony. So with that being said, unless there's something else that we want to investigate, I propose that we entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. I make a motion to close the public hearing for, I lost my agenda. Application 2024-15, 1371 Middletown Avenue, B2 zone.
So do we have a second?
A second.
So we have a motion to, and a second to close the public hearing for 1371 Middletown Avenue. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So public hearing is closed. Is there any other information, Dave, that would prohibit us from moving on this application tonight?
I don't think so. You have a motion, I think?
Yeah, I have one.
Nothing about the fire service? We're good with that, right?
Yeah, that's all, that would all be taken care of as a matter of course.
And the curb cuts, we are going to, how are we going to address that particular issue? I know we have the Norford study coming forward. Matter of fact, those watching it in the room, it's August 27th, public hearing, presentation at Stanley T. Williams on the 27th, which definitely would impact you guys, definitely. So with that being said, go ahead.
At 6 o'clock at the gymnasium at the community center.
Yes.
Stanley T.
Williams. So at this point in time, what do we want to do with the curb cuts? As recommended by the fire chief? So we defer to engineering and you folks, as far as that goes. We have enough parking spaces.
Yeah, I think a recommendation to the town from the Planning and Zoning Commission to reduce the amount of curb cuts on Middletown Avenue and Forest Road is important to the integration of traffic in town.
Right. Yep. He won't be, the applicant's property will not be the only one impacted.
Correct.
So the other business on the other side of the street will also be impacted with the reduction in the number of curb cuts into the parking lots throughout the whole corridor.
We will be meeting with all the businesses in Northford Center next week to try to get them to come to the meeting because they will be most impacted by the design options that will be presented at that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So no amendments to this?
No, no condition.
We're almost there, Barry.
Okay.
And how does the commission feel about the bagels and grinders and it's the competition, I'll call it, for the other 5 businesses across the street?
I think my thought is people go where they go. It's a whole different customer at the gas station. I don't remember anybody complaining about Angiolo's going in and saying how that's gonna take away business.
Right, the pizza place up the street, right?
Mhm. So
David Pizza. Okay.
I think people go where they go and they keep it moving. I don't think any of Amanda's Deli's people are gonna go to the gas station, the people who get their grinders at Northford store, cause they opened up a deli section, a grinder section. So I think you go where you go to get your grinders and it's like even.
There's not many businesses open at 11 o'clock at night.
No.
Right. Okay. With that being said, then I'll accept the motion to approve the planning and zoning application 2024-15.
Yeah, I move to approve, planning and zoning application number 2024-15, special use permit, request under section 23, schedule A, line C-5 to allow for the operation of a takeout restaurant in an existing gas station convenience store at 1371 Middletown Avenue, map 62A, lot 11, B2 zone. Owner, Cheryl Riley, applicant, Vadette Kimka, as described in the submitted application documents with the following standard condition. 2 and special conditions 21. Reasons for approval include the proposed indoor food and beverage service is permitted in the business zone. B2. Access to the proposed use is not changing, therefore no additional curb cuts are being created on Route 17 or Route 22. There is adequate parking for this use at the existing site. Adding a new business to the town helps the local economy. 2, that this approval shall be null and void if construction site improvements are not completed within 5 years of the approval date, effective date, unless time is extended by commission approval as allowed by the Connecticut General Statutes.
Okay, we have a motion. Have a second?
Before I second it, I just want to note, are there any special conditions? Because 21's blank. All right, so yeah, there's no, I second it.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the restaurant at 1371 Middletown Avenue. Any discussion? So I just had one question. Do we want to your point, have one spot large enough for the loading zone, or is there any issue relative to that currently?
No, I think we can make one spot larger, yes. We can create a loading zone.
Okay. No problem. So can we amend the motion to incorporate that into the?
Put that in the special condition?
Yes, yeah, special condition.
You go, since.
Yeah, in the following special conditions, 21, it was blank on the original approval. We're gonna add that, the owner, to make one of the parking, spaces larger for the loading and delivery.
No problem. So we have a motion, amended motion for special condition. Is that accurate, right, Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we have to approve the amendment and then approve the motion. Is that accurate? Right, Trish?
Just change the motion.
Just change the motion.
To include the special condition.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to, change the,
Motion to include the loading zone.
to make the motion
requirement.
to include the parking spot larger,
I
the one parking spot larger.
second the new amended motion.
Sorry about that.
No, I agree, we gotta get it on.
Okay, so now we have the motion that's amended. We have a motion, we have a second. We've had any further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0 for 1370 Middleton Avenue. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck.
All set?
All set.
Thank you
Yep.
so much. Have a
Good
great
night.
night. Appreciate it.
Moving on to old business. There is no old business, new business number 6. Other business, zoning regulations updates.
Not tonight.
I agree.
Next one
We
is
have,
September 5th.
next meeting September 5th. We have a continuance for 118 Personnel Hill, continuance for 138 Oxbow, and 216 Branford Road. Anything else?
Not that I can think of right now. But maybe,
What's that?
perhaps.
Perhaps. All right. I guess we'll discover that on September 5th. So with that being said, there's no further business to conduct. The meeting is adjourned.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I don't think you need to.
You don't have to technically.
But
it's tradition,
All right. Well,
Because of
Tom's
Ron.
not here.
But we have to carry on the tradition.
All right, we'll carry on the tradition.